another episode of Reading the Wrong Way. So today we're going to go down the rabbit hole and look at some Alice in Wonderland manga spin-offs. We're going to start with Alice in the Country of Hearts by Quinn Rose. I forgot that the covers are horizontal, but that's okay. This series is rated OT for older teens ages 16 and up. I'd say this is a decent rating considering the violence and psychological aspects of the series. The series has been re-released in 3 different omnibus books by Yen Press. The manga is based on a Japanese visual novel of the same name. This series is of course based off the Lewis Carroll classic Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I also wanted to note that if you ever want to purchase the original, there are many different versions available. I would personally recommend the Barnes & Noble's Classics edition. It includes both Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass with all the original illustrations and formatting. In this version of the classic tale, Alice is enjoying an afternoon with her older sister when she is kidnapped by a man with rabbit ears who calls himself Peter White. He takes her down a rabbit hole into the country of hearts, which Alice dubs as Wonderland. She is forced to play a game in order to return home. She must interact with the world's inhabitants to fill a potion bottle, or she can never return home to her sister. So what do you need to know about the series? I don't think you necessarily need to read the original to enjoy this manga. Of course, being the fan that I am, I recommend you do. There were moments I grinned because I recognized something from the original that echoed into the manga. There are some pretty dark elements in the story, but more psychological than anything, much like in the original. Every character is armed to the teeth with weapons, and seems to have a very nonchalant attitude about death, for reasons that are explained in the series. There is a bit of violence, but it's similar to The Earl and the Fairy, where you see some of it, but it never really gets too graphic. Because this is a reverse harem manga, most of the characters are male and eligible bachelors. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. There are other characters in the series that aren't in the original, such as the clockmaker and the amusement park owner. Other characters are also absent, such as the caterpillar and the dodo bird. Because this is the omnibus edition, there are colored pictures separating each of the books. This series is a little unique in that Alice doesn't choose just one character. Rather than following the example of most reverse harem, which usually upsets a handful of readers if their favorite isn't picked, this series has branched off into multiple endings. These endings are presented in separate manga volumes under titles that reflect the character Alice chooses. If you only cared about Alice choosing the Cheshire Cat as her lover, you would only have to read that one series, rather than all of the endings. Though if you're like me and you don't personally care who she ends up with, it's very rewarding to read them all. Currently there's the Cheshire Cat Waltz, which features Boris with at least 7 volumes. My Fanatic Rabbit featuring Elliot, which is complete at 2 volumes. The Bloody Twins featuring Tweedledee and Tweedledum, complete at 1 volume. And Circus and Liar's Game, which I'm not really too sure who exactly the main interest is with these ones, but there's at least 3 volumes in this series. Titles that have been announced but not yet released include Ace of Hearts featuring Ace, The Clockmaker's Story featuring Julius, and The Mad Hatter's Late Night Tea Party featuring Blood Dupre. They've been published by both Yen Press and 7 Seas, so not all the books are the same height and format. It can look a little weird if you're collecting the whole series, but you kind of get used to it after a while. These books are more sexually explicit than the original series and geared towards older readers for sure. You can also find them under the umbrella titles of Country of Hearts, Country of Clover, and Country of Joker, depending on which country the storyline takes place in. You're really introduced to that concept in the Cheshire Cat Waltz, and I'm pretty sure it's explained at the beginning of pretty much every spin-off, so don't worry about having to read the Cheshire Cat Waltz in order to get it. They're all rated OT, which by today's standards is probably acceptable, but I would personally recommend maybe an M rating for mature 18 and up. While we're on the subject of Alice, I also picked up a new series by Yen Press I'd like to review real quick called Are You Alice? It's similar to Country of Hearts in that Alice has to play a game and everyone is armed with weapons, but other than that it is definitely its own series. Practically every main character, including Alice, is male, but not that I'm complaining, it's just something that you really have to get used to. The story is about a boy who wanders into Wonderland and takes the name Alice as a requirement to partake in a game to kill the White Rabbit under orders of the Queen of Hearts. This series is quite graphic and the art style reminds me a bit of a classic horror game. Overall, the story is intriguing and I'm quite eager to continue this series. This is also rated OT for older teens, which I think is fair, and I believe there are going to be at least 7 volumes in the series, if not more. Well, I've talked enough about my Alice in Wonderland obsession. If you like the original, you will certainly love both of these series. If you like a little bit more happy and lighthearted, go with Country of Hearts, and whichever ending series you prefer. If you like your Alice a little bit darker, Are You Alice is a series for you. See you next time!
When I was given freedom, oh, all I did was play. When I turned back, there was nothing to say. You closed your doors before I could open mine. Now I know, now I see, it was a wasted time.
Hi guys! So I forgot when recording this episode that in another week or two I'm going to be doing the summer reading club at my local library. So I won't really be able to squeeze in the manga that I usually do. So the next episode is going to be a little different. I'm going to do an anime special. So I'll go through some of the anime series that I own, give a little brief synopsis and what I think about it. And hopefully that'll tide you over for, the next episode, maybe two. I think the episode after that, since I'll still be doing the reading club, is probably going to be the Hayao Miyazaki movies, because I do collect those, so we'll see. We're going to play it by ear. Hi BB. For the summer reading program, I'm going to be doing The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. This one just caught my eye on the library shelves, so we're going to see what it's about. I don't know. And I also plan on reading the Nikki Heat series by Richard Castle. I absolutely love the show, so I'm hoping that the books are just as good, if not better, like that's even possible. And I'm also going to be reading the Karma Book Guide on Studio Ghibli, because like I said, I collect his films. So hopefully I'll be able to get through all 6 of my books this summer. And if your local library does the summer reading club, I urge you to join it. They're usually really fun. There's usually a bunch of fun programs that you can do. I know ours does like crafts and movies and things based on a theme. And for the kids especially, there's usually prizes and games that they can play. So I highly recommend that if your library offers it, you join it. So have a great summer, guys, and hopefully I'll be on time with the next video too. Bye!